This video is a compilation of everything I've learned over the years about print on demand, and thus what I believe to also be some of the most effective and time-efficient strategies, even for beginners starting from scratch, which you'll be able to start right away after watching this video to start making some money online, and also passively. And in case you already know a thing or two about print on demand, I've also timestamped all the videos so that you can skip to the parts that you will actually want to hear about for your convenience. By the way, this video does not contain any sort of website or membership that you have to pay for and sign up for me to get a cut out of, which means that these are completely not only free methods, but also ones that I don't have any sort of monetary incentive to tell you about, right? Besides the usual monetization of the video itself, right? Which you also don't have to pay out of pocket for.
Of course!
And thus, by the way, if you do like the video and find it helpful, be sure to smash the like button and also consider sharing the video, commenting down below as a bit of encouragement and also to help the video with the YouTube algorithm, because not only can you do that for free, but it also helps me and my channel out greatly and helps get the video to more people. And with that, let's get started with the video. So first of all, let me just quickly explain what print on demand is and how people like you and I can make money from it. And by the way, if you do already know what it is, you can obviously feel free to skip ahead to whatever sections you'll find more relevant to your level of understanding and whatever you want to watch essentially. So print on demand is essentially an opportunity for people, anybody really, to upload a visual design, whether it be an illustration, a picture, some kind of graphic, or even text-based imagery to one of these websites that are offering these opportunities. So for example, you can upload your picture onto a certain website, which will help you put your own design onto one of their products that the image will be printed onto, right? Hence print on demand, or at least the print part of it. It'll be printed onto whatever products you choose to sell essentially through those platforms. For example, a t-shirt or a cap or a mug and what have you. There are a lot of things that you can print designs on, and more importantly, that people would want to purchase, right, from one of these websites. And not only that, but these websites, which by the way are largely free, will actually handle all the fulfillment for you, meaning that in this print on demand process, all you really have to do is to upload your designs and then do a little bit of that creative and say marketing decisions, such as your store name, the setup of your store on these websites, how you want the images to be positioned, what types of colors of these products do you want to sell, and what types of products you want to actually sell, like whether it be mugs, t-shirts, stickers, what have you, that's offered. Besides all these creative decisions, what the websites will actually do for you is essentially everything else, right? From the fulfillment, producing the products themselves, so which means printing your images onto the products, making the products, shipping them out to customers that want to buy them, obviously doing the hosting for your digital shop or digital products listings on their website and domain, and also customer service and so on and so forth, which makes things extremely convenient and perhaps the barrier to entry being quite low, meaning that pretty much anybody can do this or get started fairly simply and easily. So that's basically what print on demand is. And as usual, if you have any specific questions, be sure to comment down below and I'll definitely try my best to get back to every single comment. So in my opinion, what I believe to be the most effective and efficient print on demand strategy, especially for beginners, meaning that you don't actually have your own large social media following or personal brand or say YouTube channel that you can work with that can get you an audience that's going to be faithful to you and want to buy your products, the way to start from scratch without such an audience would be to utilize mainly these aforementioned free websites, and I'll go through what some of these are in a bit, to then upload some of the same designs that you've made onto multiple websites, right? So this way you can be efficient. For example, if you just create one design, you can actually have the opportunity to sell it on multiple of these free print-on-demand websites by just using one design, right? So that really allows you to sort of, in a way, kill multiple birds with one stone, or rather would make it much more efficient for you with your designs. Now, real quick, you might have also heard of websites like especially Shopify, where you can actually set up your very own customizable website and have a ton of freedom over it, right? Like the domain name, which is the URL of your website or your store in this case, and whatnot. But the issue with it, especially for complete beginners or people who are just starting out with print on demand and don't yet have another sort of online presence to fuel your store with visitors, the issue is that you actually have to start ranking your website on Google, right, or whatever search engines. And not only that, but you actually have to pay for an account, which can really rack up. And especially if you're first starting out with print on demand and are not sure what types of designs or niches work well for you. Again, everybody has their own sort of designs and perhaps memes or quotes that they're good at or know well, right? Maybe there's like a specific niche that they work well in or that they know really, really well. They know the memes and whatnot and they keep up with it. That's how they're able to put out relevant content that people would actually be interested in buying, right? That's extremely important when it comes to print on demand. And when you're paying for an account on, say, Shopify, you don't really get to do the whole testing phase at the beginning to be able to find out what niches work well for you while still racking up that subscriber fee, right? Whereas if you start with these free websites like Redbubble and whatnot, you can do a lot more experimentation and still look at the analytics for your products, meaning that the search engine traffic that you get to the different types of products that you put out, and then start honing in on the ones that really work. So that's definitely, in my opinion, the free route rather, by uploading onto these websites that already have their established marketplaces, again, like Redbubble is definitely the way to go, in my opinion, for people who are first starting out with print on demand. And with that, for some of the most popular and free print on demand websites that you can and should be selling your designs on, and by the way, there are probably more websites than this, and so you can definitely utilize good old Google to supplement your search and be able to list on more videos, especially since if this video becomes a bit more dated, which it shouldn't really, not become or not be relevant in the future, but in case there are more and new popular websites that do come out in the future, although the ones that I show here should stay the most popular for a good while, for a long time, you can still use Google to help you list on even more websites, right? Killing even more birds with one stone. So with that, starting with the first website here, we have probably the most popular free print on demand marketplace out there called Redbubble. And Redbubble is particularly famous for some of the unique product offerings that they have, notably stickers. So you'll see that there are actually designers and artists that actually specialize in stickers or selling stickers on Redbubble. And that in and of itself is actually a viable niche for these people. So again, for print on demand, a lot of the trick to it rather is to find the niche, and this even includes the types of products that you might want to sell, right? Or list on these marketplaces. That works the best for you, right? And oftentimes this involves some of the niches that you're already a part of, being that there are trends that you follow. Maybe there's like a sport that you play or watch a lot, or maybe like a TV show or type of show or type of video game or what have you, or maybe a Reddit board or whatever type of topic that you're really into that you can probably make the best content out of, right? If you're not already like a designer of some sort or an artist of some sort. And I'll get into niche and trend research and some easy ways that you can do so, even if you're not necessarily an expert in some of these things. So I'll get into that in just a bit. But first, for some more websites for print on demand. So Redbubble is definitely one that you want to have your products on. And just listing on Redbubble itself can be a viable strategy without necessarily listing on the other supplemental websites, because it is just a huge marketplace and has such an opportunity for you to, if you list even more products on Redbubble and stack up your portfolio, so to speak, or your listings, you'll increase the chances of getting found on the platform, right? And the algorithm, it's sort of its own search engine, right? So the search algorithm on Redbubble will actually begin to favor your products more the more you upload quality products to their website, right? So focusing on quality and quantity on this one website can be a good way to boost your rankings, right? Your search rankings, and thus making it a viable strategy to just focus on this website. But if you do already put in a lot of work onto Redbubble and want to branch out into other websites, and by the way, you don't necessarily have to create new designs for those websites, right? You can recycle the same designs and thus making this more of an efficient way to do things, you can list on websites like Printful as well, right? This is another fairly popular one, although not as popular as Shopify. But Printful is another website that has its own marketplace. And again, most of these websites I'm showing you does have their own marketplace, meaning that, again, you don't have to rank a store on like Google or have some sort of traffic driven to it from, say, social media. You can just rely on the marketplaces on these websites themselves that people and buyers will go on to buy these print-on-demand products, right? And that would actually save you a lot of hassle of having to, do the ranking and whatever, or even advertising, which people will have to spend even more money on top of whatever subscription they have to do with like Shopify or whatever. That's another perk of some of these websites, right? And another one of these is called Zazzle.com. Some of these websites have similar offerings, right? But some also have more unique ones. For example, I believe Zazzle focuses less on apparel, but on more like, let's see, like home supplies or accessories and whatnot. So there might be some slight differences between these websites, which is kind of good if you want to diversify, right? Again, for example, on Redbubble, people tend to focus a lot on stickers. And moving on, another website is called Gearbubble. This is also fairly similar to the aforementioned ones. And again, it has its own marketplace. And as you can see here, there's like print-on-demand necklaces even, which I don't think is a commonly featured product on other websites. So Zazzle could, or sorry, Gearbubble rather, can be a website if you want to focus on these types of products, right? Again, different types of products and niches will be suitable for different types of people and designers. And lastly here, I also want to showcase Spring, formerly known as Teespring. It still says Teespring up here at the top left, right? And they've said that they're rebranding to Spring, but I guess it's taking a while, or people probably just remember Teespring and recognize it, so they're probably maybe delaying or not changing their name. But anyway, Teespring is another really popular website, but I would say that less so for their own marketplace, meaning that people don't necessarily go onto Teespring itself to search for print-on-demand products to buy as much. But the advantage of Teespring is that it sort of does what Shopify does, where you can actually set up your own storefront really easily. And it's a bit, thus, it's a little bit better for people like influencers or those who already have, their own following online, right? It works a little bit better for those types of, digital creators or people who already have some sort of social media or YouTube or whatever following. And Teespring allows for a lot of integration with different types of websites as well if you do want to branch into that kind of stuff, right? Now, when it comes to finding out what types of trends and niches and designs to focus on, and actually what types of designs are actually trending the most at any given moment to help you get some inspiration and ideas for what to make for your own products, here are some free tools for you to do so, and product research. So first of all, we have the Redbubble popular tags website. It's at redbubble.dabu.ro. That's the website. But anyhow, on here, as you can see, this actually updates every single Monday. So on a weekly basis, it actually says on the top right here. But if I just scroll back, here you can also see the popularity ranking of each of these search terms, so to speak, on Redbubble. And you'll also see the number of results here as well as the popularity. So actually, because of this, popularity is probably not the only thing you can consider. The number of results also matters as well, right? Or you can even do some sort of ratio between popularity and results, right? Because even if something's the most popular, if the number of search results is too high, it means that there's probably too much competition for it, meaning that it's going to be quite difficult to get into the niche or rather the search term and get noticed, right? Whereas if you focus on a more relatively popular, like this rank 4 term here, it has a lot fewer results compared to like rank 1. Rank 1 has 206,000, rank 4 only has 6,000, which is like a small fraction of rank 1's, but it's both of them are ranked pretty highly. So maybe this is a niche that you might want to consider, at least during recently. But anyhow, the cool thing about looking at Redbubble popular tags is that whatever trends are popular on Redbubble at this given moment are likely to be trending on other print-on-demand websites as well, right? Seeing as Redbubble is probably the most popular marketplace for print-on-demand. So this is probably a fairly accurate read on what the overall markets will look like, not only just on Redbubble. So for example, these are the search terms that are the most popular right now, and you'll notice that some of these are from like copyrighted franchises like Stranger Things, right, and like anime and whatnot. For example, if I open up one of the links here, we'll see like some Stranger Things products. Let me just do this. Okay, I'll open up the link. So rank 2 here, it's called Stranger Things stickers. That's the search term. And you'll see a lot of the Stranger Things, which is a TV show, by the way, in case you don't know. It's very popular on Netflix. But anyhow, the issue with doing this though, while the niche is obviously very popular, right, is that you might run into some copyright issues, right? Redbubble has its own list of brands that it actually allows for you to upload designs for. But if you do upload any design that is not on that approval or approved list of franchises or brands, you risk getting your account banned, which is definitely something that you don't want to do because it'll, probably make you have to start over again and whatnot. So in my opinion, it's definitely not worth it, and it's not technically legal either, right? So I would definitely avoid doing anything that's sort of risking copyright, which most of these designers here are actually doing, right? So they are in fact risking a ban. But what some people might do is to do something that is sort of tangential, so to speak. I'll use a different term, or something that's related to the certain niche, but that will be a lot safer for copyright. For example, this first design on the top left here, this is just of a cassette, right? A sticker, by the way, of a cassette tape with like a song on here, Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. And the reason that this classifies as a Stranger Things sticker is that this is the song that is featured prominently in the show or the latest season of the show, but it's not necessarily like an imagery directly from the show, right? So this is an example of something that you could technically do, something that references the show really well. Maybe like a quote from the show, for example. If I scroll down, you'll find some other one like "Chrissy, wake up! I don't like this." Right? This is like a quote from the show. If I scroll down more, there'll probably be more like this one here. I'm not gonna say it for monetization reasons, but some of the quotes that you find from, or popular quotes from a popular show, could technically work because those are not really like copyrighted, because like a lot of quotes are just general things that people say outside of the show as well, so they can't really claim copyright on that. Like friends don't lie, right? This is probably fair game as well. So some of these types of things you can consider doing. But even if you don't like do any sort of franchise related work or stickers or designs, there's still plenty of other opportunities that one can do, or sell rather, on Redbubble and any of these print-on-demand platforms. And besides doing research based on what keywords are actually trending right now, or search terms that are actually the most popular, what you should also do is to look at what types of designs are perhaps not as frequently used by people in these niches, right? So what I mean is you want to try to make designs that are more unique, right? And also be able to stand out, because otherwise if you make something that's too similar to someone else, there might not really be a reason for people to want to buy your design over somebody else's, right? So for example, a meme or a quote or whatever might be related to that trend that you find on here or on Redbubble itself. You can also do trend research on here. That might be a design or a quote or whatever that is not exactly the same as what has already been done. So that's definitely something else to take into consideration. And besides using the Redbubble popular tags tool, you can also use, not necessarily print-on-demand related websites. Like Reddit list here, I think is quite helpful because it actually features some of the most popular subreddits. And by the way, these are just forums, right? Which means that the latest and hottest, most popular trending topics and quotes and images and whatever popular culture stuff will often be featured for the first time on Reddit. So you can actually pick, for example, a subreddit to focus on. Let's say you want to do science related designs. You can open up the science subreddit and see what's the most trending thing on it right now. Maybe this is not the best. Maybe you want to do something related to memes as well. Science might be a bit too general, so you might want to pick something that's a bit more specific. And you can, for that, you can also use the search bar at the top, right? Or top left, right, of this website to do a search for that. And on the right side, you can also see, if you're not sure what type of subreddit or forum to pick, you can also look at the recent activity, which one has had the most recent activity or the fastest growth, right? This is a pretty good way to figure out what trends are quickly rising to the top lately, right? Or suddenly becoming a lot more popular. So this could be a way to get in on a trend that has not yet become very competitive and yet is quickly becoming popular, right? And thus probably a lot of people have not created designs for it. So this is another way to sort of be ahead of the curve when it comes to print on demand, which is extremely important for the strategy that we're trying to do here, right? Especially since you're listing on free websites, the barrier to entry is a bit low so that people can easily create free designs. And thus you want to try to be able to pivot the quickest and be one of the fastest to make, popular designs and whatnot, right? One example of this is if I just noticed there's a subreddit called Stray that's become very popular lately based on the growth here on the top, on the right column. Stray is a video game based on cats, and it's one of the most highly rated video games right now. Very recent video game at that too. So this could be a niche that, related, maybe there's like some quotes that are related to it or some references that are related to it, not directly taking imagery from the franchise or the game itself, right? Because that would be violating copyright. So this could potentially be something that you could do. But you can also do things that are completely unrelated to copyright, right? And that is actually my recommendation because that's that's the legal thing to do. And not only that, but that's like the least risky, right? But let's say that you did want to do something related to a specific video game or niche or some kind of intellectual property such as Stray. Again, it's not necessarily my top recommendation, but if you really know the niche, for example, if you play the Stray video game and you really know what types of imagery or quotes that people will really like, you can definitely consider it as part of what you list onto one of these print on demand or some of these print on demand websites like Redbubble. You can definitely have multiple designs and be dabbling in different types of niches if you want, but I do recommend sort of focusing on one type of niche, especially if you're starting out. But anyway, as an example, not only can you refer to Reddit lists and the respective subreddits and whatever material from them for your designs, but you can also look at quotes. I think it's a great way a great source rather, for designs for say stickers and whatnot, right? Because people love slogans from TV shows or video games or pop culture, like celebrity quotes even, that they can relate with, right? And that are popular. So for example, since Stray is such a popular video game, I can perhaps look up Stray video game quotes right on Google. And if I just open up the first link here, you'll already see that there are some quotes here that you can potentially use for some of your designs, right? Not necessarily all of them will be popular, right? So again, I recommend that you only do this if you actually know the niche really well, know the intellectual property, and perhaps have, for example, played the video game or watched the TV show and actually understand it before you proceed with this type of strategy. And also, another good thing about using quotes is that they're generally not copyrighted unless it's something that's like, extremely popular and used over and over again, like a brand slogan. Those are a bit more risky, but generally quotes are fair game for you to use in your designs because anybody could really say things like these, right? As long as they're not really involving names, especially. So then it wouldn't really make sense for companies to be able to copyright a quote and call that quote, say that a quote belongs to them, for example, right? Then again, I do generally think that it's a good rule of thumb to not focus too much on these intellectual properties and brands because, again, of the potential copyright issues that you might run into. But there is sort of an exception. Well, here I can actually show you an example first of people who have done Stray-related designs. Again, Stray being the video game about cats. And some of people, as you can see on Redbubble, have actually just ripped images from the game, which is actually not allowed. So then what happens if these sellers get caught and flagged is that they'll actually risk very much getting their accounts taken down. And especially if you've built up an account over time, you definitely don't want to risk that happening to your account, right? So that's why generally, again, as a rule of thumb, I don't recommend doing brands. Unless it's like a really popular quote, for example, right? With quotes themselves being a lot less likely to be, flagged for copyright. But anyhow, moving on, another thing that I want to point out, and as an exception to the brands that you can make content on, or perhaps base your own personal, store or brand on, And also, speaking of which, I think it's the best strategy in the long term to sort of develop your own style, your own perhaps sense of humor if you're doing quotes as well. And even if you want to focus on specific types of products, like stickers are popular, maybe wall art, focusing on specific niches and really building up your own, say, brand identity can be a great strategy for Redbubble and other print-on-demand platforms that you decide to sell on. Or if you want to create your own store on, say, Teespring, which I'll cover later as well. But anyhow, coming back to brands, for which on Redbubble specifically, and again, different platforms will have their own policies for this, but Redbubble actually gave the green light for creators to make content and sell fan art essentially of the aforementioned brands. That if you click on brand partnerships, you'll see the list of brands that Redbubble is collaborating with that gave Redbubble permission for users to be able to sell related designs and utilize their intellectual property with some specific rules that you can check out if you click on each of the individual franchises, right? So for example, Dune, here there's a one of the franchises here is Dune, which is a popular science fiction novel, one of the most popular. And in 2021, the first of, well, not technically the first, but a movie came out about this book, or a movie adaptation of the book actually came out, and it was quite popular, mainstream as well. And if we just take a look at the example here of Dune and what regulations they have regarding creating designs and selling designs of this franchise, it'll be very specific. Basically, if you scroll down, you can submit your designs from this, from this link here. But anyway, more importantly, look at the do's and don'ts of what to do. It'll tell you what dimensions to use, how large your files can be, or maybe there's a minimum size as well. And then you have to include certain lines in your descriptions, like, oh, this property belongs to Legendary Pictures, which is like a film production studio, and so on and so forth, right? So just make sure you follow all the rules, and especially don't do some of the things that you're not allowed to do. So here it says, don't submit designs that mash up Dune 2021 with another protected brand or IP. So you can't mix the Dune IP, your designs, with other, brands, right? Obviously, and you can't use the actor's likeness or the actor's real names in your designs, which is another very important thing to watch out for, not just for Dune, but in general, where actual people actually have the rights to their own, likeness, which is their appearance, right? Or like a photo or drawing of them even, and their names. So you can't technically put the celebrity's like face or even a politician's face or their name in your designs. But the reason that you'll see so many of especially politicians, maybe not so much celebrities, because celebrities might be more sensitive about this and they'll actually chase after people who actually make designs about them or of them and actually, sue them and whatnot. But politicians generally don't do this as much because they want to, in politics and government, there's a lot of vying for popularity in terms of getting votes, right? So politicians who try to chase after others who make designs off of them will generally be seen as, a bit too, I guess, hostile, and they get a bad rap because of it. And so politicians generally avoid chasing after, people who sell print on demand or use their likeness in their designs and products because of this. But that doesn't necessarily make it legal, right? It's just the fact that they don't do it. So in other words, I still don't think that you should do it either. And now getting into where you can find images that you can freely use in your print-on-demand designs, legally, of course. First of all, you can actually utilize good old Google to look for so-called public domain images. And this is not to be confused with Creative Commons or royalty-free images or other types of assets. In that public domain images are basically ones that are not really belonging to anyone anymore, except for, well, pretty much anyone, right? Because of the name public domain. And these are perfectly fine for you to use on your designs. Whereas if it's like a royalty-free design, for example, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can or are allowed to use the specific image in your design. It will depend on the specific license that the provider is using and the terms that they list out. For example, sometimes people will allow you to use their designs for non-commercial purposes, meaning that you cannot sell whatever you use the designs with, but you can use it for like school or a presentation or whatever it is, right? Or like for personal use. And so with that, we can actually specifically target public domain images to avoid running into those types of issues, right? And one of the websites that people like to use, not just for print on demand, but for various purposes, even YouTube, is Pexels. But here is a site where you can find mostly photographs and not so much illustrations, right? Meaning that the types of designs that you can use for, or the types of images that you can use for print on demand can be a bit limited because they're, again, not necessarily suited for print on demand, where a lot of people do like stickers and memes and illustrations and whatnot. But this can be a site that can be really useful, and you can utilize the search bar to find pictures of cats and whatnot, for instance, and then you can use some kind of background remover if you need to remove the background for some of these images. For example, if you want to create a sticker that's outlined around the silhouette of the, or the outline of the actual cat or the thing itself, instead of having a rectangular image as your print on demand item, right? If that makes sense. But anyway, to remove a background, you can go on a Google search. There are some free services that do it for you, but the resolution might not be the best. So you want to utilize more professional softwares to do it if you can, and I'll get into some of those in a bit. But anyhow, besides Pexels being one of the main website, and by the way, these are the legal, terms of the Pexels website, by the way. Basically, it says all videos or photos and videos on Pexels are free to use. You can do all this stuff, but you cannot do this. So you can't redistribute or sell the photos on other stock photo or wallpaper platforms, but you can use it for like print on demand and stuff, but you can't do it without altering, right? So these are the specific terms of Pexels, the website, where you actually have to, if you want to use it for print on demand, any of the images, you just have to alter it a little bit, add a bit of value to it, add a quote to it, change the shading, so on and so forth, remove the background even, and then you can sell it, right? Just don't do the exact same, image one for one onto your whatever print on demand product you're using. Some other websites include freeimages.com, where here it says free images or free public domain images, right? Where you can also find additional, public domain images that you can use, right? And you can also here go to the filter and search for specific types of public domain images, such as here it says this is stock. I can go to vector as well. Vector images is ones without background, so these can work. Let me just change the search term to cat, because I like cats, and that's going to be our example later, but I'll get to that. And then you can also search for fine art. Fine art is another interesting bit of or realm that you can look at. A lot of times fine art can also count towards public domain, because especially if an artist is deceased, right? That means their work becomes public domain generally, and that means you can use potentially a lot of famous pieces of artwork for your print on demand designs. However, because the more famous a piece of artwork or an artist is, the more likely somebody else will be using it, right? And Redbubble actually doesn't allow duplicate designs on their website. They actually have their own internal systems to check. So that's something to be careful of as well. And I'll get to all of this in more detail when we do our image, downloading and designing in a bit. But anyway, freeimages.com for searching for public domain images is another great option. And besides that, you can also go to rawpixel.com, and then on the top menu here, click on public domain, where you'll be able to find even different categories, for example, of they actually show you the artist names that you can click on, so you can look through these and see which ones you might want to use. Maybe use a background remover with it, and or modify it somehow, change the shading a bit, which can be very, very easy to alter, add some text to it to create a meme out of it. Something related to pop culture is generally my recommendation. So there are a lot of quality images that you can use, but just be sure to add some value and alter it a little bit. Do not use the image on its own for your designs, because in all likelihood, the same image has already been used for another design or whatever it is online that people are already selling, and yet you can't use the exact duplicate of what someone else is already doing, right? So as you can see here, by the way, on RawPixel, there are a lot of public domain images and artworks from very famous artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Monet on the right here. There are some ones from Japan as well, right? But again, the more popular and well-known the artist is, the more likely that somebody else has already made, tried to bank off of it essentially, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that, famous pieces of artwork are not necessarily the best choice for print on demand, in my opinion, unless it's like related to a specific niche that you're doing. Anyhow, this is another example of an artist from Raw Pixel, and we can also see what some people have done on Redbubble for this artist, right? So you can see that these are the exact same images, or not exactly the same because you can't really have a duplicate. People probably use some kind of alteration, change the shading, the colors a little bit, made it slightly brighter or darker, maybe add some shadows on the side, etc. And this person here is selling like posters of this artist on Redbubble. But again, none of these have reviews, so they might not really be selling too well. But this is just an example of what people have done and can do from public domain images. Another website that you can use is Creative Fabrica. This is a really cool website that I don't think that many people know about, and it's especially useful for the freebies that it gives you. So once you log in, I think you can sign in with the Google account. But anyhow, on the right here, and this is all for free, or most of the designs that you can get from here are for free. There are also, ones that you can pay for, but you don't have to. And then what you can do is go to the freebie section on the top right, click on this category that you want, or look at all freebies. They also have daily gifts as well, so these are also other free options that you can use. But anyhow, if we look at the freebies that they're offering here, there's even free fonts for commercial use, for example. And it says always including our commercial license, meaning that you can commercialize it, meaning that you can sell pieces of artwork, or designs rather, print on demand items that have these designs on them, or these fonts aren't on them specifically, right? This is really helpful, obviously, for text-based designs or any sort of designs involving text. And as you can see, a lot of them are very professional looking, very nice looking. And so Creative Fabrica should definitely be on your list of resources as well. And with that, there's another website here called All American Graphics for print on demand use. This is more of a specific niche that relates to like American, America related designs to America. And this can be a good niche to focus on if you want to. Yeah, this is another website, and there's some other ones out there for specific niches as well. And a lot of times, you might have to buy them, right? For example, this one, you do have to buy it, but once you buy it, you can use the license however you want and repeat it as much as you can or want to. And you can definitely reuse the same images repeatedly for multiple designs on Redbubble, right? For example, if you want to do something American related, whenever there's like an election coming up or some kind of event nationally, you want to do different states in the US or cities, you can keep recycling some of the same images and maybe change the text, right, or the color of the text and so on and so forth to create technically different designs, but that are very similar, that people might prefer something slightly different, maybe with different words, a different message, a different state, a US state, a different city, or even a different color. Now, TinEye here is actually a tool that will allow you to check whether somebody else is using the same image for their designs or on any other website for that matter, right? Which means that if you use, for example, a public domain image, this will be a way for you to check whether or not your image has been altered differently enough from somebody else's, right? Usually, if you just alter the coloration, you'll be fine, right? Because what are the chances that somebody's using the exact same one, right? The exact same degree of brightness, for example. And what's more is if you add text to your image, making the entire design itself be the image plus the text, there's a very low chance that somebody will have the exact same design as yours, right? Meaning that you'll have your unique design, which is qualified for sale on Redbubble and usually the other print-on-demand sites as well. But anyway, just as an example, I can upload an image that I downloaded, or the image that I downloaded from rawpixel.com from this Japanese artist here of a cat. And as you can see here, if I just click on upload and upload that image after downloading the image first, of course, and after creating a free account on rawpixel, it's actually doing a search right now. So let's see what it actually turns up. All right, and looking at these search results here, there are 307 results. And it makes sense that on the first page, most of the results are from rawpixel.com, which is the site that I downloaded this same image from. But it also exists on other stock photo websites like Adobe, right? Adobe stock photo website. and alamy.com. But what you can do here, if you want to search for specific print-on-demand websites that you want to list on, namely say Redbubble, I can actually click here and look at some of the, not only see what some of the common ones are. So Society6 is another actually fairly popular print-on-demand site, and we can see that this image has been used 44 times on Society6. And then it's also on Zazzle.com, which is another print-on-demand site. But if you search up redbubble.com, let's see what turns up. Okay, it's actually not turning up, meaning that nobody's using the exact same image on Redbubble. Likely meaning that they actually altered the image slightly and somehow to comply with Redbubble's rules, or just public domain and image rules in general, which is a good practice, meaning that it's a good practice to just alter the image at least a little bit if you want to sell it and use it for other purposes. And now getting into how to actually create a design and upload it onto Redbubble and all these other print-on-demand websites, I'm actually going to briefly go through a live demo of this as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually go back to the Redbubble popular tags website to find a keyword, essentially, which is a search term that people will be searching for on the Redbubble search engine that I want to target when I upload the design with the description and the title and the tags and things like that, right? For like search engine optimization. And I'll get into that in just a bit. But first, let's look for the actual topic or search term to target. So for this, I'm actually gonna use an example not from page one with the not necessarily from the most popular first page of tags, because again, this could also come with a lot of competition. However, as an example though, if we look at number 18 here, there's only 461 results, and then number 16, there's only 532 results. So these two are examples of perhaps really popular tags right now that are not seeing too much competition as well. So that's just something to consider. But the example I'm going to use is going to be on, let's see, page 5, which is the search term called cat life is perfect. And if we just open this up onto Redbubble, and again, the Redbubble popular tags search results are generally going to translate quite well to the other print-on-demand websites that have their own marketplace, right? Because a lot of these trends are basically global and are, what's trending on the largest print-on-demand marketplace will usually also trend on the other ones as well, right? Provided that nobody's like violating, any sort of copyright, and thus I don't necessarily recommend doing those. But anyhow, if we open up this search term, we'll see some sample designs of ones that might have done pretty well. So these are just some examples of what people have done in this niche. Okay, this is interesting. So a lot of these are sort of fish-shaped mitts, I suppose, or stickers and whatnot. Also t-shirts. All right, cool. So obviously, I don't have to necessarily copy any of these designs. Obviously not one for one, but this can be a way to get inspiration. But I think I'm gonna do something slightly different. Anyhow, let's actually go to public domain. Find a public domain image to create our print-on-demand design with. And for this, I'm going to use an example from rawpixel.com. Here I've filtered by public domain, as you can see, and my search term is cat. And what I want here is, although some of these photos and such can work as well, potentially, I'm actually going to look for a vector image, which is an image that already has its background removed. And on raw pixel, the way you can tell something is a pixel or vector, image is if the background is checkered like this. This means the background has been removed. So I'm going to download, let's do this image here of a black cat. So, and it does indeed say public domain with this free CC0 image license technically. So if we actually double check the license, again, whenever you're using any image or downloading any image that you intend to use for print on demand, I recommend definitely checking out the license just to double check and be sure that you're doing something, legally and compliant with, any website that you're going to be working with and uploading your work onto and also downloading from. So here it says the license that this image has is public domain, also known as this right here, CC0 1.0 universal. And as we can see here, it says you can copy, modify, distribute, and perform the work even for commercial purposes, all without asking permission, right? And then there's some other details down here, but basically it means that you can use this for, putting on print-on-demand products and selling them, which is great. So with that, I'm going to download the image and then head on over to canva.com. I jumped the gun a little bit, but Canva is essentially a free website that you can use, one of a few actually, that you can use for free mostly to design any sort of print-on-demand design, or if you want to use it for other purposes as well, right? For example, I use it for YouTube thumbnails, but that's beyond the scope of today's video, obviously. And also what you can do is go over to the search bar on Canva, and you can search up specific templates that you might want to work with, right? Here's a lot of templates that are potential candidates, right? But one thing to be very, very careful of when you're using Canva is, again, the licensing. So for Canva, it gets a little bit complicated. There are some images that are considered pro images that if you have a premium account, you can use. A premium account being one that you're paying for. So you can use those like premium or pro images, but those usually have a special license for which you can't generally use them for commercial purposes. However, there are also images and assets on Canva that are categorized as free to begin with, meaning that even without a premium account, you can use them for free, or anybody on Canva with an account can use it for free, even with a free account. So generally speaking, for these, you can use, so here it says additional permitted uses for free content only. Generally, you can use it for, let's see, resale, right? So it says here, use the free content and design template applications intended for resale, whether online or not, including blah, 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 blah. You can use, basically you can freely use this for print on demand as well, right? So this includes useful things like not only images and illustrations, but also things like fonts as well. So fonts can be, a great way to do, well, the fancy fonts rather can be a great way to do like the, whatchamacallit, text-based print on demand designs, or hybrid text plus image sticker, or whatever thing you want to sell, right? Another thing to pay attention to for any print on demand website is to usually you want to have the highest resolution that you can for whatever you're selling, right? And if we just do a quick Google search for Redbubble's dimensions, it says on Redbubble's help site that they recommend your image to be at least these dimensions, if not larger than this, right? However, on Canva, you can't make this quite as big. But you don't also have to make it this big either. These dimensions, they look really large, right? But they're set so that you can actually use that image for any design on Redbubble, right? So I'll show you later that Redbubble actually supports once you upload one image, it actually supports many different types of products that you can put it onto, right? Whether it be, again, a t-shirt, a mug, or sticker, pillow cases, posters, floor mats, or whatever. There are some that are a lot larger, and so the larger pixel counts will usually be better suited for these larger prints, these larger items, because when it's spread apart really large in real life in space physically, you want to have as many pixels as you can, so then the image itself doesn't look blurry or pixelated, right? If that makes sense. So you want to make sure your image is as large as you can. However, an exception to this, and this actually works for most people, is actually if they want to focus on smaller products on Redbubble, such as stickers and whatnot, right? If they're only doing smaller stickers, they definitely don't need to do such largely, pixelated or having such a large pixel count for their images, right? They can definitely settle with smaller pixel counts. All right, so with that was probably a lot to digest, but this also comes back to what I'm going to do on Canva, or what you can do on Canva, which is that if you select simply a template from, for example, if I just search up sticker cat and they have sticker templates for cats, you don't usually simply want to just use a sticker template, although you technically could. For example, if I open up the template here on the top, on the right here, kind of a spooky cat, Halloweenish black cat design, which really is right up my alley, my type of niche that I would like. But anyway, if I open up this example and look at the size of it, we'll see that it's only, okay, it actually says, okay, it's 1081 by 1081 pixels, which is a lot smaller than the recommended pixel count that Canva suggests. But this dimensions actually generally are large enough if you're only going to do smaller prints like stickers, right? So this can actually work. Although, again, because you don't want to have any duplicate images on Redbubble, you do want to alter this, right? So for example, I'm definitely going to delete the cat here. any of these assets, although they're all free assets. And as I mentioned before, free assets are generally fair game from Canva, that you can use for commercial purposes. Anything that's like a premium or pro version of an asset or font, you should not use for print on demand because there's like licensing legal issues, right? For example, here we can also see that some of the suggested designs are pro, right? Here we can see that the ones with the crown icons are pro, so I definitely want to avoid these. And the one that I picked is completely filled with free assets, right? However, because I don't want to have a duplicate, a duplicate design on Redbubble, because if chances are, if it's a template from Canva, somebody else would already be selling it on Redbubble, right? Because something that's super frictionless and easy to do. So what I'm going to do is to not only replace the cat with the image that I downloaded earlier, the image of a cat that I got from Raw Pixel. So I'm just going to drag it right in from my folder and it'll be uploaded here. Okay, so this is interesting because it's a backgroundless cat, and it's also a black background, so there's no like silhouette or outline of the cat if it's using a completely black background. So I can either enlarge the moon here and just make it, oopsies, I can enlarge the moon here, or I can change the background color potentially to make it, maybe a grayish background or even a white background, so then my cat will show through. But I think doing this is also fine. So I can just change the color of the moon here and perhaps change some of the other aspects of the moon color here. All right, here, this actually looks pretty good in my opinion. So I'm just gonna highlight the images and enlarge them for my sticker, just to also increase the pixel count a little bit within these dimensions that are already set. And then I'm also going to change the text here to use a slightly different slogan with in mind. If we go back to Redbubble popular tags, again, I'm targeting cat life is perfect, this keyword, although there are definitely other cat related keywords that I can target as well, right? Because when you're uploading, you can have multiple sentences in your description and have multiple tags as well, right? So you can actually target multiple keywords and multiple phrases at the same time with one single design. All right, and now that I'm done with my design, I can actually go ahead and download it and then also upload it onto Redbubble and any other print-on-demand website that I'd like, right? But first, I just want to give a brief showcase of Canva. Generally, what you can do is, besides being able to search for these templates that I just mentioned, you can also go to elements on the left side, and then anything that's not labeled pro, anything that's free, you can generally use as well, right? Another one that's useful, another tab that's useful is text, where you can find different types of fonts and cool text that you can also definitely use for a print-on-demand product. So these are some of the most useful things from here. And then to download an image, you can actually just go to the top right and then click on share. I don't know why it's called share, but and then you can just click on download, and then it'll ask you the type of image you want it to be. If you have a free account, you can't really resize your image, but again, this pixel count is actually fine if I want to focus on smaller designs. If you again want to do larger designs, if, for example, you want your design to be able to work for every Redbubble product out there, even the larger printed ones, then you can use either different editing softwares to try to hit at least this pixel count, or with Redbubble you can hit about half, or not Redbubble, with Canva you can get to about half of this as the maximum. So so as you can see here, the design here is actually 4500 by 3100 pixels, and this is almost the largest that I can get it to. If I just show you real quick, what you can do is go to custom size in the top right here, near the top right, and then you can just type in, if you just go above, because if I go above if I go above 3500 on the right here, it'll be too high, I think. Oh, okay, I guess. All right, but if it's like 4000, it'll say that it's too high, right? Yeah, I can't. It won't. It has to be 6000. The width has to be less than 6200, and then oopsies. Let me just check the height here. I think it's like 3000 something. Oh, it actually works. 5000. Oopsies. Yeah, so the height maximum is 4000, so it's like 6000 by 4000 is the maximum that Canva can get to. But for that example, I opted to go with 4000 by 3000 to go with the same aspect ratio of what Redbubble is suggesting. For any other print-on-demand website, you can just Google the name plus dimensions to get the recommended dimensions as well, right? If you want to do a different dimension for a different site. But generally, you can look at all these different sites, target the pixel count that you want that is consistent and acceptable by these multiple websites. So then you don't have to go and recreate, designs for or resize them for different websites, right? You can just kill multiple birds with one stone, so to speak. Anyway, I can download my image here. Another thing about Canva though is that you can't, with a free account, that is, you cannot download an image with a transparent background. So this one here is just going to be a rectangular design or square design rather, that I download and upload onto Redbubble, which can still work as a sticker, right? But if I wanted to make it like a circle, for example, and change the background to white with the circle itself being black, then you either use a pro account on Canva or use one of the background removers that you can find online, but generally you have to pay for those as well, or just use another, editing software or photoshopping type software for you to do that. And it's generally not hard to do. An alternative would be VistaCreate. Here is another similar to Canva website. VistaCreate actually allows you, last I checked at least, to create and download images and remove the backgrounds while you're at it, all for free. So this is another option that's extremely or very similar to Canva, albeit they might not have as many options for customizing your images and whatnot. But VistaCreate could work. Or you can use obviously like Photoshop if you have access to that. It's not free, of course, but it's generally accepted as one of the most useful, and a lot of people use it, designers use it and whatnot, and it's not too costly either if you really wanted to go all in on designing stuff. Alternatively, you can also use a site or a software rather called GIMP. It's kind of a weird name, but basically it's a open source software that has a lot of, it's kind of similar to Photoshop, and you can illustrate and design and touch up images and things like that. GIMP is extremely versatile, allows you to do pretty much anything with an image, and it's also open source. And it's free, and you can also go to the tutorial section to find specific tutorials for what you need to do, right? So if I just look at the beginner tutorial, it'll tell you step by step, for example, how to create a simple logo, how to make a circular shaped image, how to make a heart shape, basic coloring and stuff like that, which can all be really useful for creating stickers, right? And this is a completely free software. It's fairly popular as well, and you'll also be able to find not only tutorials on their website, but tutorials all over the internet, such as on YouTube as well, right? With people giving you the step-by-step breakdowns of how to do stuff, right? So this can be very, very useful as well if you don't want to spend money on, say, Photoshop. And now let me upload and list my newly created design as a print-on-demand product, or a set of products actually, on Redbubble. So for this, you want to first go to the top right, click on your profile actually, and then there'll be a link called Add New Work. Oops, if I just go back real quick, if I just open it, at the bottom, it'll say Add New Work here on the menu. Whoops, let me go back again. But anyhow, another thing to show you that makes Redbubble very, very convenient, which will allow you to, especially if you start creating more products or more designs rather, and that are similar in dimensions and whatnot and settings, you can actually click on copy an existing work, which will copy over all the settings you've made. So like which products you want to list them on, like you want to print your design on rather, what the dimensions are, positioning of your image, the costs of every product that you want to, customize for example, a sticker can cost this much, a t-shirt will cost this much, etc. All these settings you can just copy over to a new one to be able to save you time. For example, you just copy over the settings and just replace the image if it's similar enough, right? What you can also do is go to your profile, your portfolio on your profile, and then click on the gears section here, and then just click on copy settings. For example, if I show you this one that I made before, it'll just make a copy of everything, and then everything here, these are all my old settings that I've already made. And if I wanted to upload an image that is in similar in composition and size, I can literally just replace the image and then maybe change some of the descriptions if I need to, and the rest can just stay the same if I want to, right? Everything's already been set up, and that's what makes Redbubble really efficient. And the more you do it, the more you'll be able to sort of replicate your success or replicate your work and just replace the image and do things more efficiently. But anyhow, let me actually just upload a new work just to show you how that works. So I'm going to find the sticker that we made, and here it is. So here you'll see that there's title, tags, description. For the title, I'm actually gonna just name it as what the sticker says. So I want to make it, you want to think of it as a search engine, or Redbubble as a search engine. So you want the title and the sticker or whatever design you're selling to match very, very well, right? Which will make people actually want to click into it. Generally, if the title and the description or the this the image actually match each other, right? So I can do our cat overlords sticker, right? And then for tags, this is where you look for specific keywords and search terms, and this can be really gotten from the Redbubble popular tags tool, right? This is a great way to do it, although you don't have to use this. But for example, if I want to target cat, the cat niche, I can just search up cat here in the search bar. And again, this is frequently updated, the rankings that is, and I can look at all the keywords that are from the cat niche, right? For example, I looked at cat life is perfect earlier, so I'm gonna just write it here. And then there's also another niche called, okay, it says to separate by commas. Okay, that's fine. So this is the correct format. And then there's also black cat stickers. Right, if I want to target stickers specifically, and just make sure your tags are actually accurate, because again, Redbubble is a search engine. If your tags and your image or design are not consistent, and people don't, if people search for it and they find an image that's not matching their search term, it's going to deprioritize or lower the rankings of your designs on the search engine, right? So you definitely want to niche down, and not only that, but make sure your tags match your design as best you can. So black cat stickers, I think it's fair. If we're just going to limit this to mainly stickers, that'll be fine. If you don't want to just do stickers, you might not want to do stickers, the word stickers here, and just do black cat, right, by itself. I can, and this, speaking of which, this is also one of the ranked keywords here on the Redbubble popular tags tool, so I am going to include it as well. And then I can do black cats also if I want to, and I can just look through these, right? There's like stray cat game, right, from the video game I mentioned earlier. It is a sort of rising tag, right? The video game that's been really popular lately, but again, I don't necessarily recommend doing something like this or related to it, because again, it is copyrighted copyrighted intellectual property. And now that I'm sort of done with my tags, although I could technically add some more, but this is just more of an example. I also added some, as you can see, black cat Halloween related tags, and then also like cat dad, cat slave, and I could probably add a few more because the maximum is 15. But anyhow, I also have my description here along with my title, of course. And if I scroll down, this is where I can enable and sort of customize the types of products I want, right? And in this case, because I targeted a sticker tag, or the sticker niche and also tag, I opted not to have my design on any of these other things, right? More is not always better, because again, Redbubble is a search engine and you want the most good looking, and not only that, but most relevant things on the right products that people will actually click into. And the more clicks you get, meaning that the more relevant your image is to that given type of product, the better your search engine optimization is for that design, and it'll get pushed up by the algorithm, search algorithm, right? So in this case, I only have it enabled for stickers and magnets. For example, what you can do also is, and by the way, on the right here, you can click on enable or disabled, very simple. And you'll notice that I've disabled most of the other things, but if we just open up this one, if I edit, I can go to image settings, and then here I can change the prices. So the markup percentage here just means how much of a price that you want to sell it for, minus the cost that Redbubble needs to produce it, right? So that's the cost that they will get from the people who are buying the product, because they need to actually produce, right? They actually have to print the thing on demand and then do the distribution, mailing it out, and all that stuff, right? And the percentage markup is basically the additional profits that you will collect on top of what it costs to make it, right? So you can mark it up. This is a convenient way for you to check, how much sort of margin you're making from your given product here. So there's like magnet, glossy sticker, transparent sticker, 4 types here. You don't necessarily have to do all of them, but I think this suits all 4 pretty well. And you can also, if I just uncheck it, right, yeah, so you can opt out of any of these, and then also change the market percentage, for example. I'll just click on apply changes for now. For some of the other products, you can also, for example, if I just show you cat mat here, you can also, if your image doesn't fill up the entire product, you can also move it around, recenter it, center it horizontally and vertically. You can also set a background, for example, make it black. This could be pretty good. You can scale the image how you like. And this could actually work pretty well for a cat mat as well, especially if it's all black. But the image itself might be a bit too small for this print, right? So this is an example of the print itself being too small for this type of product. And actually pet products are kind of a new thing on Redbubble. You'll see that there are dog mats and cat mats and also pet blankets. So this could definitely be a niche that, you know, or a type of product that you can target if you're doing anything cat related or pet related rather, right? If we actually go back to the example of cat life is perfect, you'll see that a lot of people, some of the most popular products that are showing up in the cat life is perfect search term are in fact these cat mats with different designs, right? And a lot of them are coming from the same user as well, which is kind of cool. Good for them. But these are just some examples for you know, inspiration. And this one here is pretty nice too on the right. They're doing a repeated sort of pattern design. That's really cool, but not necessarily the easiest to do, of course. But some of them are quite simple, right? It's just an image with text. So you can definitely potentially do something like that as well if you want to target the pet niche. So here, whoops, this is the wrong example. So here, let me actually, I'll just keep this disabled because I think my image is too small, right, for this map. But if I were to make it a little larger in terms of pixel count, I can, and I'm also going to disable this here. Again, if I make it larger on a pixel count to make it fill up more of the map, I can consider using it. And the same applies to any other product that I think, or you think, you know, for your design could work pretty well. You know, some of these are definitely too small, so I'm not going to do it. I think the pin button I'll just enable because it looks kind of nice. I can actually edit it as well, make it scale down so then the text actually shows. Okay, this actually looks weird because it's like rectangular. Actually this isn't too bad, right? I can do this. This is actually not too bad. So I think I'll keep this. Okay, so this is an example of something that could work. So the rest I'll just keep disabled. There are some other products below called advanced products. These are a bit harder to design and position because the shapes are a bit more unique, but this can be something that people can also target, right, if that's up their alley. And then down here at the very bottom, before you upload, you also need to do some final settings. And you can, first of all, you can pick the type of image that you have in case people want to search for specific types of images. Whether or not, for example, they prefer photography, photos on their print-on-demand products, or they want design and illustration. I'm going to pick design and illustration and then digital art. Let me think. I think I'll do drawing and digital art, but I think, yeah, I think these two probably fit a bit better. And then collections is just the sort of under your store, what category, if you have multiple different niches or categories in your store that you want to have. For example, here I can just check funny Halloween designs. This could technically qualify. If I'm going to do cats, I can technically make another collection under my store and my username on my profile called like cat stickers or whatever, right? And finally here, it's not obviously not mature content, so I'm going to click no. And then here is just default product in your shop. I'll just click optimize. It's just like if you have multiple products enabled, it'll you can actually choose to prioritize to show which one to show first on your shop listing or your product listing, which one you want to bump up to the top. I can also do sticker if I want, but since I only have like a few of these things enabled, like a couple, I'll just do optimize to let the search algorithm and Redbubble itself to recommend the most popular one that I think will do the best to the top, right, for my given product. So here I can just click on this. I have the right to sell products containing the artwork, blah, 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 because I'm using royalty-free and public domain assets, the free images and fonts from Canva, and the free image from Raw Pixel, right? So here I can click on Save Work, and it'll be processing and then be able to be uploaded for sale, or it's already uploaded basically, right? And it says processing complete here, and yeah, it says design published. So here it is. This is actually done, and that's really all you have to do to create a design onto Redbubble. Again, if you want to do a sticker that's more, you know, shaped and not squared, you might not want to use Canva for it, right? If you want to remove the background and make it circular or whatever, you can use any of the other aforementioned design softwares or platforms that I talked about earlier. All right, and the last thing I want to talk about regarding Redbubble and some of the other free print-on-demand marketplaces is Merch Informer and some other tools that you can consider using. Not all of them are free. These are actually have a free trial and then you have to pay for it, like Merch Informer. But earlier I realized at the beginning of the video, and I hadn't really thought it through that much. I said that there's not going to be any sort of like affiliate links for you to sign up that, I'm incentivized to get you to sign up for. But this is a bit of an exception because it's a very much optional tool that you can use rather than something that you have to depend on, right? Like how some other guys use Shopify, right? Where you're relying on Shopify to create your store. Not to call anyone out, of course. Shopify can, work for in some cases, but it does cost money, right? But anyhow, once you set up anything on Redbubble and you want to scale up especially, or you want to just look for design ideas and trend research outside of some of the options I showed you, you can consider using Merchant Former. This is mainly useful though if you want to list onto multiple platforms, right? And then let me just show you what you can do. So if I click on the automation tab, you can literally just create designs on Merchant Former and then allow you to, it's like a software basically, right? And it'll allow you to upload onto multiple websites, the aforementioned ones. Although Redbubble is really the only, well, on Teespring sort of, right? But Redbubble is really the main one here that you want to work with if you want to list for free, and especially if you're just starting out, in my opinion, right? Because if you don't have that much experience yet, for example, if you're not sure what's going to work for you, you're sort of exploring your niches, Redbubble is definitely the best place you can go to because there's nothing to lose really. You don't have to pay for like creating a store or listing stuff, whereas with like Etsy and Amazon, you have to apply for merch by Amazon, and not many people get to do that or get to, get into the program unless they're like, a qualified designer or whatever, or somebody with a track record. So it's really hard with Amazon. eBay can be a bit hard too, right? Because you're not really doing print on demand directly on eBay. But so, some of the other sites as well, Etsy, you need a listing fee. Squarespace and Shopify, they're just their own like storefronts, right? And they're not really marketplaces, so they're not as useful. And I'll get into how to use Teespring in a bit. But anyhow, Merchant Former though can still be pretty helpful for like product research, keyword research, and they also have their own built-in designer that's similar to Canva, perhaps useful in their own ways. Like they have their own royalty-free assets and whatnot. But in my experience, you don't have to use it. You can definitely use some of the other free options I mentioned before. But if you want to try it for free, it doesn't hurt to just try it. If you want to do something for free and just maybe do a bit of extra keyword research with it, before you have to pay for it. I will put a link below that if you do decide, if you really like it, to sign up. It will benefit me, but you don't obviously have to use my link. You can just sign up on your own. It's just whether or not you want to support me as a little bit of bonus and a gesture. I would really appreciate it, of course. But anyhow, on Merchant Former on the left side here, you'll see that there are a lot of different tools that you can use. There's product research with from different websites. You can look at merch by Amazon shirts. They mainly do research on like Amazon, right? But again, since Amazon is such a large platform, even compared to like Redbubble for selling basically anything, you'll usually be able to see that Amazon's whatever's trending on Amazon. For example, if I search up cat, let me search up cat again. Whatever's trending and working on Amazon can generally be a pretty good indicator for other websites and marketplaces as well, right? And you can also pick the country and whatnot, but US is generally a good place. So here you can see that these are some of the actual products on Amazon that people have done. So this is definitely a place that you can go to get inspiration, right? If you want to for your own designs and whatnot, right? Some of these are very simple too, right? And kind of cute, Kiss, like the band Hiss. And also some other cool things you can do with this is movers and shakers. I think it's a kind of a neat tool, and it's kind of a way to show what's trending like the most recently. So if I click on daily or weekly, it'll show you like what's the highest, like sort of the hottest designs are for the day or the week or whatever. And here it'll show you like the rankings on Amazon that these items are. If they're climbing in rank quickly, it means that they're sort of shooting up in popularity lately. And if you're quick enough, you might be able to get in on a certain niche or trend or keyword before other people start to pick up on it, right? And start selling a lot of the same designs. Again, print on demand, part of the success or part of the keys to succeeding with print on demand is to be very, very quick on your feet with creating new designs and keeping up with the trends and being one of the first people to these trends, right? Because the barrier to entry is pretty low, as I've shown you, right? It's pretty easy to create these designs and whatnot. Because the barrier to entry is so low, people can really copy each other really, really quickly and get on the trend quickly. So not only do you want to upload as many images as you can and designs as you can and list them for sale on Redbubble on multiple platforms, but you also want to be quick and try to target, the most popular and rising, ones that are rising in popularity, that you can, right? So that can make Merch Informer quite helpful. Another one is called Pod Connect. All right, so Merch Informer is more of a website where you can do all these things. If I go to the very top, there's also like a merch designer. Again, it's sort of like Canva, where you can, it's my account. It's sort of like Canva, where you can, make the artwork and use some of the royalty-free images and whatnot. You can even pick dimensions here. This is convenient because they specialize in print on demand. So if I click on Redbubble Design, the dimensions, you'll pretty much be sure that will be optimized for the given platform, right? So this is the nice thing about using Merch Informer. I can also click on templates to click on, whatever templates they have. So some of these do look quite professional and nice indeed, like this one here. I can just make it a little larger to fit, Canva's size, for instance, right? So this can be really, really helpful. Again, there's a free trial, and I'll link it down below if you'd like to try this out. And you can just use it during the free trial period as well. And when it expires, you can just move on to other stuff, right, if you want to. Anyhow, another platform that I think is pretty helpful that I want to cover is Pod Connect. So this is the one that is this is the platform that is basically the software rather that allows you to automate uploading onto these different websites, right? And even if you just use it for Redbubble itself, if you only use this for Redbubble, it can still be very helpful because it actually automates uploading. You just set it up. You can, and then again, there's a free trial, but this is the cost. Again, I'll put a link below. But essentially, even though it is, as I showed you, fairly convenient, right, to upload designs onto Redbubble, and you can just copy your old settings to a new design and then just change the image. That's actually pretty easy to do. It's all for free. But with Pod Connect, if you really would like to scale your venture significantly, for instance, what some people will do is, for example, they'll get a sticker or a certain design and they'll just create like 50 of these or even 100 of these similar ones. And for each one, they'll just change the text slightly, change the image slightly, even the colors, right? For example, the moon here, I can use a different color or whatever. These don't look that nice. The green one might be better. But anyway, they might just use a slightly different variation. Maybe if it's like, a US based design, United States design, they can just do like different states, 50 states or whatever, change the text, right? And they'll have lots of designs, dozens and dozens of designs in no time, right? And if you have that many designs, and you're just doing like the bulk, doing the numbers game here, you might not necessarily be as efficient if you just do it manually one by one, uploading onto Redbubble. And that's where Pod Connect comes in, which will help you just enter your data onto their software once, and it'll actually upload automatically, and it'll do all the filling in for you, automated filling in for you, and then just link to some of these other sites as well, right? Printful I mentioned before, Teespring I'll cover in a bit, but so there's Redbubble, which is the most popular one, Spreadshirt, Teespring, Printful, Printify, Zazzle also talked about, Guten as well. So this actually allows you to upload really, really quickly, and again, you don't have to do any clicking, you just click like start, and then it'll start punching in the stuff for you, uploading everything for you throughout all these multiple websites while you don't have to do anything at all, right? You can actually be away from your computer while it does that. And I'll actually link a quick tutorial for this that I've done before in the description of this video if you want to see exactly this software in action. So that was essentially how to create and list products for sale on Redbubble, and the process, because it's largely the same for all the other aforementioned and even other new print-on-demand websites that you might find online with its own marketplace. The process is pretty much the same, so I'm not going to go through exactly step by step how to do each of them because, they're pretty much the same as with Redbubble, but there is one sort of exception and a website with its own niche, so to speak, called Teespring, which is now known as Spring, but most people probably still know it better as Teespring, because it actually allows you to customize very easily your own storefront, all for free with print-on-demand products. So the process is still quite similar, but most people who use Teespring instead are people like influencers and YouTubers who like to have their own merch store, or if they want to like advertise their print-on-demand products online in however way, that will cost you money, but creating your Teespring store and listing stuff on there is completely free, so I'll cover up to that point. And of course, as with all the other print-on-demand sites, for example, if you already created designs for Redbubble, you can also consider listing them onto Teespring, right? At no additional effort or cost, right? Say for maybe re-customizing some of the dimensions, if you want to optimize them differently, or if different websites have somewhat different requirements for the dimensions. And I'll get into what Teespring prefers in just a bit, right? But usually that's not a very difficult change. Especially if you can just have a template, for example, on your own editing software or on Canva, and then you can just adjust the sizes accordingly, right? Or just have templates specifically for each website. That could work as well, whereas the template itself will just be sized accordingly to whatever the website like Redbubble or Teespring requires. And I'll tell you what and I'll go through what the Teespring recommendations for image sizes are in just a bit. But essentially, Teespring is, again, in many ways similar to the other print-on-demand websites. It's also one of the larger ones, especially for being able to create, or for users to be able to create their own store. And I'll show you how to do that. So first of all, you want to create a free account, of course. And then once you're in your dashboard, it's really quite simple. And the cool thing about Teespring is that they do kind of take you through step by step a lot of the things that you can do on the site. So for example, here they list out create a product, and then you can customize your store, right? Edit your store, and then running a sale. This is more for, coupon codes and promotional, techniques. I'm not really going to get into that because that's sort of beyond the scope of the video, because I do want to focus more on like free, methods. But, adding a promo code can definitely be a way to incite people. For example, if you have a YouTube channel, you can tell your audiences what the promo code is, and that could maybe incentivize viewers to want to buy something from your store, right? So that's definitely a technique, and it's very easy to add, right, on, just from the dashboard on Teespring. But anyhow, let's look at creating a product. And when it comes to creating a product, you can literally click on the large link here, or wherever it shows up, wherever it says create product, which is in a lot of places, such as the top left here. And it'll bring you to a page where you can actually select from any of these, item templates or product templates that you want to start with, such as t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, stickers, mugs, whatever. And below, there's also other categories you can look at. Notably, they also have digital products as a category. So if you have like ebooks or like notebooks or whatever, designs for that. But you can also create with like Canva and some other software, and I'll do a different video for that actually. But there are some other niches and types of products one can explore if they really want to specialize. So that's certainly interesting and slightly different from some of the other more traditional print-on-demand sites as well, right? Especially since they have digital on here as well. But anyhow, for example, if I just open up the classic t-shirt here, again, the creation process on the creator rather on Teespring is very simple and straightforward. You can add image. For example, I can add the cat image that I made from before. Oops, there's a duplicate. So here you can also scale up the image, and then it'll tell you what the print quality will be like depending on the size of your image. So here at this size, it's still a bit small, right? But it says the print quality will be good. So this generally means the image is high definition enough to be printed at this size. But again, for larger items, you might need larger resolution, right? And because I was doing this for a sticker, my resolution on Canva when I created this image was a bit on the lower side, because that was enough for like the smaller sizes of stickers that I was gonna sell, right? But for example, for a t-shirt, I might need to make it bigger. But again, that's very easy to do on Canva, right? Another cool thing about Teespring, and I'll come back to the editor in just a bit, it's that you can actually check out a lot of the tutorials that they have and step-by-step guides for pretty much anything you want to do on Teespring. But it's going to community.teespring.com, and you can just Google this site as well. But for example, we go to the page on the FAQ or the guides for the file formatting, which is the image sizes or includes the image sizes. We'll see that they recommend the following image dimensions for each of these different types of products that you might be interested in selling, right? So like they all have a different optimal size in inches, which is actually fine even if you use Canva, because when you're creating a template, for example, on the right here, I can click on custom size. For any of the canvases you make on Canva and images, you can actually not only set them by pixel count like we did with Redbubble before, And you can also use different types of dimensions like inches or centimeters. In this case, because Teespring's asking for inches, you can also specify it with inches, right? So I can do like 16 inches by 16 inches, for example, right? You might want to make it slightly larger than the recommended size here, so then the image can actually fit within the box, right, on Canva. So this is just an example of how you can make a Teespring image, or image to upload on Teespring print-on-demand product. But here, this is just an example. Another thing to consider is especially here as an example, my image has this black background, right? And so you might definitely want to consider creating a background-less image. So then, the image might actually look better, and you can also sell the t-shirt in different colors, right? For example, if I use a different color here, it'll be black on pink, which might still work for certain types of designs, right? If you do want the square or rectangle or whatever there as well. But in this case, if I want to try to sell it as a backgroundless image, even if I try to match the background colors with the shirt, because of the fabrics that the shirt uses, or whatever it is you want to sell, right? Even if my image background is black, the shirt has a different shade of black, right? Meaning that people can still see the square here, which might not look the best, right? So that's just one thing to consider. And again, to remove backgrounds, you can definitely just use like Canva Pro or some of the other sites I talked about, or softwares, editing softwares, right? That are free as well. So that's definitely something to consider. And then another neat thing with Teespring is that you can also add text. So instead of just doing the text purely on, say, Canva or whatever software you use, you can also just add the text itself on Teespring. Although it might not look the best and there might not be as many options to customize, right? But that's definitely just an option if you want to take it. But essentially, that's most of what it takes to create a a design and listing on Teespring. It's very straightforward. Again, you want to make sure your image size is right, and you can add the product colors you want. Again, it's similar to what I did on Redbubble as well. And then again, you can customize the price, and then it'll show you how much profit you get. There's different pricing for like US and EU fulfillment. And then if you click continue, for instance, you can select the different styles you want for this image. And then if I click continue again, you can then write the title and description, and even the URL, have a custom URL rather, for your item. And then what you can do is also add to an existing store if you already set up a storefront on Teespring, which again is one of the specialties of Teespring and the reason that a lot of people use it, right? For example, I had my own storefront actually, and it looks something like this. The banner's sort of popping out a bit because it's sort of a preview type deal here. But essentially, to set up a store, you can just go to your dashboard and just go to stores, right, on the menu here, on the left menu. And then you can just click on, so you can just customize each part of your store. It's super straightforward actually. So starting with your logo, this is the top left logo. Again, you can do all the images on like Canva or whatever software. And then if I leave this part, whoops, oh, did I just delete it? I just won't save it. But anyway, you can do the hero banner. Hero banner is just like the main large banner in the middle here, which if you just look at the dimensions it recommends, it's 1650 by 600 pixels. Again, you can set that on Canva, right, or whatever software, and then just make an image with it, right? Usually people have their title on it, shop name, right? And then after that, let me check. You can also customize the products that are on your store, right? So even if you create a product earlier, like if you first create a product before setting up your store, you can also just add your products into your store later on, right? So you don't have to necessarily create your store first and then add your products to it. The order, you can do it in whatever order you want. And then finally, there's a footer. It might be optional. Whoa, okay. It's a bit weird here. Okay, here it is. See, here you can customize the footer as well. If I just open this, and then you can, I didn't add anything, but you can have like social media links and stuff if you have those, and you can add like text or like a disclaimer, right, if you want to. And then you can just save the store. But that's essentially, how you do it. Very, very straightforward again. and that is how to list products and create a store on Teespring. Now, if you have any questions about not only Teespring and Redbubble and any of the other print-on-demand sites, and just about print-on-demand in general, be sure to comment down below and I will answer your questions to the best of my ability. Now, for the final part of this video, I just want to cover further reading, so to speak, and other resources that you can check out if you want to dive and get a little bit deeper in this print-on-demand world, I suppose. So the first YouTube channel that I recommend to you is Ryan Ho Passive Income. He's been covering print-on-demand very consistently, and you'll see that he pretty much does daily uploads. And I think his videos, or his channel and videos of course, are not only very transparent, and he shows his own results as well, which is great. He covers different types of platforms, but he also updates frequently what some of the top sellers are at this moment. So this is a great YouTube channel to go to if you want to see what the hottest trends are, what's selling and what might not be, what's working right now. Because again, print-on-demand is a very fast-moving sort of industry and market where the barrier to entry is quite low and trends can come and go. So it's important to be quick on your feet and also be efficient, right? He also goes into automation, how to upload, mass upload. I got a lot of the ideas from watching this channel previously, actually, in terms of, mass uploading onto multiple websites and whatnot, being efficient with spreadsheets, and he dives into all that with his computer programming background. So I think this is a great channel that I highly recommend. Another one is Wholesale Ted, of course. Although I don't necessarily agree with, and this is just my opinion, I don't necessarily agree with all the newer videos or some of the newer videos she's put out, especially regarding like YouTube Shorts and whatnot, because it's not that easy to make money with YouTube Shorts, in my opinion. But and she's sort of done more clickbaity stuff, again, in my opinion. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I have to get my, honest opinion across as well. That I think, yeah, some of the more recent videos on this channel are a bit more clickbaity and not as realistic, in my opinion. Again, in my opinion. But the print-on-demand videos and content from Wholesale Ted, I think, are very good. She does do, her due diligence and research on a lot of things. She shows real examples of what has worked and what has not. So some of the tutorials on here, again, especially for print-on-demand, I'm not really recommending the stuff for other like types of content like YouTube itself. So proceed at your own risk and be able to gauge what's realistic and what's not, and be able to have the awareness of not always believing 100% in what's being presented to you, and just being able to filter things out, right? That's just sort of my advice there. But definitely you can check out this channel for the print-on-demand stuff. I do think it's very good. And that is going to be all for today's video. I know this is a bit different from how I'd traditionally done videos. This is one of my, hopefully, first of many of my longer compilation videos where I go into a lot of depth on a certain make money online topic. So anyhow, I hope you guys liked it. Be sure to check out my links in the description box below for my free YouTube courses on my website if you want to turn a hobby and passion into a profitable YouTube side hustle, which is my preferred method for a side hustle. And I also have a premium version of that. That I do have 2 free video lessons that you can check out as well. So be sure to check those out below in the description. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, or if you have any questions, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.